So hello, I thought since we're not able to pour for you in person, I would go through the wines, show you the bottles, and give you a little bit of our story. So the first one on your list is called The Return. So The Return is our story about being able to return to Paso. We had found Paso in 2011. We moved here for a short while. We were hoping to live here forever, but unfortunately we were only able to stay a couple of years and had to leave, move back south in 2013. But we always said we were going to return to Paso, we were going to retire here, and as funny as it sounds, I said I was going to pour wine in a winery in Paso in my retirement. So that's the story behind The Return. The wine is our play on the GSM, so Grenache, Mourvedre, Syrah in that order, and I hope you enjoy it. It's a beautiful blend. Okay, so now for the second one on your list, I would have you pour the Genesis next. So the Genesis is another red blend. It is mostly Syrah. It's always going to be mostly Syrah based. This vintage year is 80% Syrah, 20% Mourvedre. Another very smooth, nice blend. It does bump up a little bit in taste, so it's going to be a little bit bigger than the Return. The Genesis stands for New Beginnings. And so in 2019, my sons and I decided that we would buy a small vineyard out on the east side of Paso in the Geneseo AVA district. Okay, so what I want you to do now is put in your glass the Coalescence. So let's do this as number 3. Coalescence is another red blend. This one is always going to be Cab and Merlot based. This vintage year is 58% Cab, 42% Merlot. And basically Coalescence, what it means is to coalesce means to come together at a perfect point, and basically this is where Cab and Merlot met at a perfect point. We sat down and blended these two wines, and every vintage is going to change a little bit depending on what the wines bring, but this year it was almost 60-40. Enjoy. Okay, so now what I want you to do for wine number 4 is I want you to pour the Chrome in your glass. Chrome is our reserve, 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. And when we say reserve, what we mean is that this cab stayed back in barrel for an extra year. So normally all of our reds on our lists are bottled at about 18 to 20 months after they've been sitting in the barrel. And this one stays back another year. So about 30 to 33 months in barrel. And it just gives it a little bit of an added smoothness. As far as the cab goes, it is super balanced. The cab is going to give you that tannin in the beginning where it's going to dry out your mouth a little bit, but then the acidity in the wine squirts that back into your system, and it just gives you a nice balanced cab. Okay, so now for your final wine, you're going to pour this Syrah. So this 100% Syrah is our biggest wine on the list right now that you chose, and so I want you to pour this last. The Syrah has been picked from El Pomar district of the Paso AVA, where it is a little bit hotter relative to the rest of the climates out here, and it also is a little bit drier. So for example, in this Genesis, you had 80% Syrah, but this came from way back in the hills of the Adelaida district, where it gets about 46 inches of rain, where the El Pomar Syrah only get about 6 inches of rain. So just to tell you a little bit about that, it's going to be bigger and bolder. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed your tasting. If you want to read any more about us, you could go to the website, www.stilsonsellers.com. And if you have any questions for me, don't hesitate to give me a call.